I have different versions, but let's start off at here. She was born into a city that never slowed down enough to notice quiet. The Bronx raised its voice, sirens, arguments through thin walls, rent overdue, heat that failed in winter, and she learned early that there was no room for someone who needed time. No classrooms shaped her mind, no words were handed to her. With patience, she grew up surrounded by systems that mistook silence for absence, and absence for failure. She did not learn to read, she did not learn to speak, but she learned pain with perfect clarity. Crayons became her language because they were the only things that listened. Each stroke carried what she could not say: confusion, tenderness, fear, and a longing to be understood without being corrected. She watched her mother struggle, a woman exhausted by survival, doing her best with nothing left. A mother who loved her but did not know how to reach her. Not because she didn't care, but because no one ever taught her how. And so the child learned empathy before she learned comfort. In her drawing, she apologizes not with words but with careful lines, soft colors, and broken shapes trying to hold together. She is sorry for being heavy, sorry for needing more, sorry for the nights her mother cried thinking she had failed. She carried pain silently because silence is all she was given. She carries love gently because love is fragile. When you grow up poor and misunderstood, this was never her fault, and it was never her mother's either. This is what happens when a world with no patience meets a child who feels everything. And still, with nothing but paper and a crayon, she leaves behind proof that she was here, that she felt deeply, and that even in suffering, she tried to protect the one who stayed. She was born into a city that never slowed down enough to quiet. The Bronx raised its voice, siren arguments through thin walls, rent overdue, heat that failed in winter, and learned early that there was no room for someone who needed time. No classroom shaped her mind, no steady hand stayed long enough to teach her letters or sounds. She grew up inside systems that mistook silence for absence and absence for failure. And over everything there was fear. The knock that might come too hard, the uniforms no one explained to her, the word ice spoken in whispers, spoken like a storm you cannot stop, only hide from. She did not understand borders or papers or why her mother's tensed at certain sounds. She only understood anxiety entering a room before words did. She learned to stay still, to take up less space, to disappear without leaving. She did not learn to read, she did not learn to speak, but she learned pain with perfect precision. Crayons became her language because they never asked questions. Each stroke carried what she couldn't